Good afternoon. I was standing here looking, it looked like the speaker's rostrum, and I asked where I'm supposed to speak, and Melissa would have been quick to remind me, one day out of the year you speak at the speaker's rostrum and only at my invitation. So I know my place. To Archbishop Hebda, Bishop's father, and the whole community here at Basilica of St. Mary's, thank you for this beautiful tribute and mass to Melissa and Mark. And to each and every one of you, thank you for being here to celebrate the lives of these incredible people. I can't help think, though, of all the people who would be a little miffed and tell us that this was a big fuss would be Mark and Melissa, never seeking that limelight, but always being at the place where good was being done. To Mark and Melissa's families, thank you for the opportunity to share a few words about my friends, Mark and Melissa. To Harry and Linda and Carol and Ruth, the entire state of Minnesota is grieving with you. You obviously raised remarkable people. And so did Mark and Melissa. Colin and Sophie, I can't imagine, I've had the opportunity to be around you these last few weeks, what it's been like. But you've heard from others today, the grace and courage that these two young people have shown through this awful time has made it easier for the entire state and nation. It's easy to see why your parents never stop bragging about you. I'll hear it to the end of days, talking about Sophie Hortman. Sophie Hortman always, she always used your last name like I didn't know who she was talking about. And Sophie Hortman said this, I said, I know Sophie's your daughter. And she never ceased to do that. You are amazing reflections of Mark and Melissa. We're grateful we'll continue to feel the force of their leadership, strength, and kindness through what you bring to the world. Most importantly, I hope you know that this community and this state will stand with you now and forever. Melissa Hortman will be remembered as the most consequential speaker in Minnesota history. I get to remember as a close friend, a mentor, and the most talented legislator I ever known. For 7 years, I have had the privilege of signing her agenda into law. I know millions of Minnesotans get to live their lives better because she and Mark chose public service and politics. More kids in pre-K, fewer in poverty. More schools with the tools and teachers they need, fewer with hungry students. More trees in the ground and clean energy coursing through the grid. Fewer roads and bridges at risk of failure. More people in safe and secure housing, fewer worrying about how to manage caring for their loved ones. That's the legacy that Mark and Melissa will leave behind for all Minnesotans. But that's a part of the story that belongs only to those who were fortunate enough to know those people behind the legacy. The part of the story doesn't take place in some freezing, dimly lit room in the Capitol. It takes place at CR Billiards, where Mark loved to shoot pool on Monday night. It took place in that garden where Melissa fussed over her lilies like they were a wayward member of that caucus. It took place in that kitchen where Mark fed his sourdough starter, Melissa mixed the margaritas and baked the cakes, and Gilbert sat there begging for scraps, and the sound of that kitchen filled with laughter. I think all of you know Melissa was an extraordinary legislator, and Mark was her proudest supporter. He was there in her early electoral defeats to the height of her power as speaker. But it's easy sometimes to forget, for all its significance, politics is just people. That's all it is. Just a bunch of human beings trying to do the best they can. Melissa understood that better than anybody I knew. She saw the humanity in every single person she worked with, and she kept things focused on the people she served. Her mission was to get as much good done for as many people as possible. It was the golden rule instilled to her by her father and the passion to serve she learned from her mother. Mark's focus was people too, and it's no surprise. Melissa and Mark, as you heard, they met mentoring a student in Washington, D.C. And what a beloved colleague and friend he was to so many. Admittedly, I never talked much politics to Mark. I'd try and get a tech tip from him, but we mostly bonded over our love of that sweet, sweet 80s music. He truly appreciated it. It was the focus on people that made Melissa Hortman so effective. She certainly knew how to get her way, no doubt about that. But she never made anyone feel that they've gotten rolled at a negotiating table. That wasn't part of it for her, or part of who she was. She didn't need somebody else to lose to win for her. I remember one really interesting late night, one of those closed door sessions these legislators hate so much, middle of the night. Everybody was tired, and a legislative leader had made a concession, but the next morning had some regrets about that. He stated, "I was exhausted," he explained, "and if I'm being totally honest with you, I had a couple too many glasses of red wine last night. The truth is, I gave something that I can't sell to my caucus." Now, those of you in politics are aghast like this, and you would have seen Melissa Hortman could have used leverage. She could have expressed anger. She didn't. She saw a human being. She gave grace. She sat back down. Honest to God, opened a bag of jalapeno Cheetos, and we went at another deal and went right back at it to make sure that everyone got what they needed. I know that in these times of this inexplicable, unexplainable tragedy, all of us are searching for some kind of meaning, some kind of lesson that we can learn to help ease our loss. And maybe it is this moment where each of us can examine the way we work together, the way we talk about each other, the way we fight for things we care about, a moment when each of us can recommit to engaging in politics and life the way Mark and Melissa did, fiercely, enthusiastically, heartily, but without ever losing sight of our common humanity. But let's not do it because of the way Mark and Melissa died. Let's do it because of the way they lived and the way that they led, with joy, with passion, with respect, with empathy, with purpose, and with humility. We're not always going to get it right. After all, we're only human. But the best way to honor these remarkable Minnesotans is to continue the work of building a state equal to their aspirations and a politics worthy of their example. Thank you to each of you, and may God bless Mark and Melissa.